the bucket getter, post presence, accomplished, Cozette Ballentine.
We were trained, we practiced, we were in the gym every day.
Wonder, 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 wonder.
It was a passion. It was like nothing else mattered. It was like we were balling 24/7. We were balling weekends. We were after school, in school, anywhere we could find a pickup game.
This is an episode of Built From Nothing podcast. I'm your host, Sean. This is my guy, Nell. And we're here with a special guest, the versatile, the bucket getter, post presence, accomplished, Cozette Ballentine. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We just here to give you your flowers. You my cousin, and you one of the most accomplished players I ever known, I ever heard of. I didn't really get a chance to see you play, but this the platform to go ahead and give you your flowers and tell the world your story. Because I think it's one of a decorated story that I feel like people don't hear enough about. So we're gonna get started with what got you into sports.
Oh, wow. Well, growing up and just not having a positive role model. When I say that, I mean like just my dad wasn't really present at home, and my mom was struggling a little bit, and I was acting out in school. And there was a principal, Mr. Roy Pope. Anybody that knows anything about, I went to Walbrook High School. He was kind of like a Joe Clark from like Lean on Me, like for real. Like she got him involved in my life, and he pretty much like saved me from just whatever destructive path I was on, because I got kind of caught up with the wrong kids in the neighborhood, and I wasn't even thinking about basketball, and it was just like, oh, you kind of tall, and why don't you come and try out? And I'm like, okay, try out. Put me on the line, gave me a ball on the free throw line. I made the free throw the first time, and that's when I got started. I was at about 12 years old,
Okay.
and never looked back.
So we're gonna jump straight to high school. Walbrook. As my years of playing, Walbrook was always a contender. Tell me about, your time at Walbrook and why you went there.
Okay, again, that's Mr. Pope.
Shout
My
out to Mr.
mom
Pope.
made him a positive, strong presence in my life. He was like a dad to me, for real. And he just took me under his wing and supported me and introduced me to a lot of positive other teachers and coaches, and summer league coach that was also, he was kind of also like that disciplinarian and cared about the kids. And once I got started, I just, in my ninth grade year, I wasn't, I was still kind of acting out. But I was seeing the girls get dressed and go get on the bus and go to the games, and I was always in trouble. And I couldn't go. And I was like, okay. And they would come back, and they were popular in school and everything. So it made me want to get more serious about basketball. So I did. So my ninth grade year was a bust, for real. It was just, I wasn't that serious.
Right.
That summer, I went to Blue Star, went to a camp, came back, made like the top 5 in the camp. I started getting college letters, and it changed my whole life.
So after you not playing as a freshman, you do all of that, and then you just instantly started.
10th grade, it was just, I took off. There was another young lady, Daphne Lee, Dewana. Everybody probably knows Daphne.
Of
That's
course.
still, because she's still very much involved with basketball and coaching. They called us the Twin Towers, and we were the only school, because everyone knew Weston.
Right.
So the years that Daphne and I was there, we were the only school that ever beat Western. Metro Classic. We were putting up numbers. They called us the Twin Towers. And we won the championship. We were highly recruited. We were going to go package deal. But at the end, I kind of wanted to go off and be my own, do my own thing. Daphne decided to stay home in Maryland, and I went to St. John's.
Before we go to St. John's, you was all Metro.
Mm-hmm.
You say you won.
First team all Metro.
Was it a city championship?
Yes.
And what about states?
Look, you taking me way back. It probably was.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
gotcha.
mean, if it was nation, if it was statewide, of course, because we ended up playing Seton Keogh.
Okay, yeah, and that's where you would see them at, right?
Right.
Tell me about, because you're my older cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about basketball at that time in the 80s, because
Oh my goodness. Okay, so and I talk about this all the time because I look at the talent now, and I look at the dedication, the fundamentals. Like, we were fundamentally sound.
right.
The coaches that we had, they trained us. Now it's kind of like raw talent. It's talent. The coaches grab the best players, and they end up winning the games and having the best teams. We were trained. We practiced. We were in the gym every day. So I, to the point where, like, I've had coaches that had me in there timing block shots, teaching me how to block shots, teaching me how to drop step, up and unders, jump shots, stuff like we trained, we practiced, we were fundamentally sound.
Right.
So back then, we didn't have social media. Now, kids can do just about anything, and it's out there. It's for the media. We didn't have that, and we didn't do it for the fame. We didn't do it for. We didn't have Facebook and Instagram and all of that. We just genuinely loved the game, the passion. It was there, and I'm not saying that this generation and after us don't have that, but we just did it for the love of the game.
I feel like it sounded like you made a crazy jump from not even wanting to play basketball to doing it and then being like super good. Do you feel like you just was a natural? Or do you feel like that just came as a testament to your hard work and kind of like that foundation that you got from your principal?
All of that. When you first started with the question, the natural part, I was like, well, yeah, but seriously, when you're an athlete, you're an athlete.
Yeah.
Things come naturally to you. But it was work. It was work. But honestly, I mean, not to sound like that. It was something I didn't know that was in me. I didn't know I had it. I didn't know I was gonna love the game and be able to excel the way that I did. So, but it was definitely. I won't even say it was. You said hard work. I wouldn't even say it was hard work because I did it, and the people that I played with, it was a passion of ours.
Yeah.
It was like nothing else mattered. It was like we were balling 24/7. We were balling on the weekends. We were after school, in school, anywhere we could find a pickup game. We were constantly. I still. No, because you might want to take me outside. But up until recently, seriously, I always kept the basketball. I always kept the jump rope. I always kept my high tops because it was just the love of the game.
Yeah.
So even those nights where I'm telling you, we would be in the gym and learning how to set screens and block shots. And I'm talking about in high school. Like this is the stuff that they're teaching the kids. And in college, we had coaches that were teaching us the stuff. We would be in the gym for we look up and it's 3 hours in the evening. And it wasn't like it was work. It wasn't like, oh, I want to go home. I want to go get on Instagram. I want to go get on PlayStation, whatever. We were just happy to be there and wanted to be there. It was fun.
You said St. John's. Any other schools, and why St. John's?
Oh, any other schools? There wasn't a school that I wasn't recruited by. I could have went to any university at that time. So the reason, first of all, like I said, Mr. Pope and Daphne, the one that I was playing with, the young lady I was playing with, which we were best friends. Like I said, they call us the Twin Towers. We wanted to go somewhere where we were going to play. Not somewhere where we were going to sit on the bench for a year or two because they had, seniors and juniors or whatever that was. So it wasn't even about who won the Final Four that year, who won the championship that year. But obviously we wanted to go to a winning program. So at the time, it was University of Georgia. That was one of them that we were going to go to. But in the end, the reason why I chose St. John's was because, in all honesty, it was New York. They didn't have any housing on campus, so they didn't have any dorms when I went to college. So we received a stipend. I got $600 a month. So kid from Walbrook, inner city, Baltimore, $600 a month to play ball. They paid. So I started off already just yeah. So I didn't have to call home and ask for anything. It was obviously it was a full ride. So my mom didn't have to worry about anything. We had a meal ticket. They put us in houses. After your junior year, you could move to apartments, and they paid for everything. Everything was paid for. And they had, St. John's had just won the Big East championship the year before. I was like, I'd be in trouble. I'd be coming home.
Right.
I'd be on 295 every weekend trying to come home. So I wanted to go far enough away where I couldn't come home all the time and have that influence and be tempted. And close enough where my mom and my family could still come and see me. And then again, it was just something about New York City. There was Long Beach, there was Auburn, there was other, colleges, but when they did their visits, I think I was thinking money. St. John's got me with the stipend, for real, and the fact that they had a winning program. Well, there's a lot that's not out there because we didn't have media. Everything is timing. We didn't. Even when I look myself up, sometimes I'm like, wow, it's so much out. I had so much more. I accomplished so much more, and they just don't have it out there because it wasn't prevalent then.
Right. Right.
But my progress was more so just every year, just I think it was the kids, the fans, that really kept you wanting to give it, motivated and wanting to give your all and your best and leave it on the court, and just loving what you do, loving the game. My freshman year, I stepped into the role because a senior went down with a knee injury. So, and I was preseason Big East Player of the Year going in, and I wasn't starting. So that had to I had to sit back and wait my turn. I had to work harder because I wanted Player of the Year. You talking about in the whole conference,
Which is crazy.
Yeah. But so it was when I finally got my chance, it was my team was struggling. My freshman year, they were struggling. And the coaches were looking for me, the freshmen, to do everything. And I remember being in the locker room, and we lost to Temple. Don Stanley was there at the time, if you know that name. And they killed us. And at the end of the game, it was my coach got in my face and was like, Cozette Ballentine, you are the biggest waste of talent. You haven't done anything since you've been here. I'm a freshman. And I'm like, what? So I'm going to make you eat those words.
Sure.
Sure. So, and I didn't know I had that, I didn't know I had the green light. I didn't know. I was sitting back waiting my turn,
Right.
Still making, working hard to get, earn my spot, what I thought. But I was like, oh, okay, so that's what you want? Because I can turn this up for you, So I think that was the turning point for me in my in my freshman year, and I just kept working harder, and every year after that. My 10th grade, I'm sorry, my sophomore year. I can't even remember my sophomore year too much. It probably was just, but my junior year was the year that just like, wow. I led the Big East in scoring.
Yes.
I had set all kind of records. Most points scored in a game. It was my best year athletically and academically.
What game was that?
Oh, for 2 games. It was Providence and it was Georgetown. I scored 40 and 42 in the same week. And I was told that I would have made Sports Illustrated Player of the Week, but some girl did, like, she qualified in track and field in like 3 or 4 different, like, it was so but yeah, and I did that at home. Well, I won't say at home. I did that. My mom was at that game in Georgetown, so that made all the difference for me too. A lot of people that were able to come, they couldn't come and follow my career, got to see me in that Georgetown game.
40.
Yeah, 40. That was 40. And Providence, I scored 42.
That's cool.
And I think what was real sweet for that, sorry, Shania, what was real sweet for me about scoring that at Providence, actually it was a home game, it was at St. John's, but we played Providence, there was a young lady, Shania Evans, which was my point guard at Walbrook when I was a freshman and a sophomore, that wouldn't even pass me the ball. But she wasn't passing me the ball because I would drop the ball.
Oh, okay.
I would turn it over.
So you had that chip.
Yeah, I had that chip on my shoulder, and she was at Providence. She was the point guard at Providence. So, no, we didn't play against each other, but I was killing her forwards and her centers.
Everybody that you seen, it looked like her, right?
Yeah, right, right. So I was in talk about a zone. I was in a zone that game.
Were you ever surprised by any of your success? Because it seemed like a lot of what you was doing, you was doing it because you just love it, right? You passionate about the game. At any point when you start hitting certain numbers or doing certain things, are you surprised like, oh, I'm really actually good, or was it like you always knew?
Again.
I wasn't surprised because I put in the work, and it was. I can't say what I was surprised about was just the impact that I had on other, like, kids coming up behind me, how they looked up to you, and where basketball took me. Like, I had no idea when I went to school, I wasn't thinking, when I was in high school, I really wasn't thinking college. I was thinking for the moment. Right. I wasn't thinking college until the letters started coming in, and I was like, wow, I can get away from home. I can go somewhere different. I can travel.
For free.
For free. My mom, I can get an education, and even when I went to college, I wasn't thinking professional after, or even what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was thinking just for the moment, just living in the moment, enjoying what I was doing, being a basketball player, being a kid, being a superstar. You felt like, it kind of just came with the territory as you went along. Right. It was never any surprised by what was happening. Right. It was like, I worked for this, and this is what's everything that was happening, I felt like was supposed to be happening. I'm not to say that you don't get disappointed and have letdowns. Somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. So
you just know you put yourself in that position.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was happy to have the people that I had. It made me appreciate the people that my mom put in my life at the time, because like when I was young, I was like, I don't need this, you know, like.
You build a foundation.
But yeah, and then I started to realize that they were shaping and molding and putting me in a position in places to be better, to see what I was, which was my destiny,
Right.
I think, to see.
So talking about St. John's, when Sean told me, I was like, well, let me go, you know, do a little research or whatever. And you said some of the accolades, but like it's the list real long. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna read some of this stuff for the people. Like you said, you was a preseason Big. Then '91, you was the preseason Big East Player of the Year, and then you end up being the most valuable player at St. John's. Big East first and second team all conference. Division I second team, Big East Conference leading scorer, 21st ranked in the nation in scoring, and like you set that Big East Conference and school record for the most points scored in a game with 42, right? And that's not even the end of it because you're the all-time leader, and we're gonna go through all your career, all-time leading placing. So you're second in rebounding, third in scoring. All these are all-time, by the way. Fourth in scoring average. Fourth in successful free throw attempts, seventh in steals, and eighth in blocks. And you're also in the St. John's Hall of Fame. So after I read this before the interview, I was like, and she cold. Everybody we interviewed already, I love them, right? But they ain't got this resume. So I just want to say, it's a pleasure speaking to you and kind of hearing your story. So you started talking about pro. You said you never thought about going pro. So you at St. John's, you killing it. Like you said, you a superstar. At what point, or is there a point where something flicks and you say, you know what, I can get paid to do this?
Okay, no, I wasn't thinking
Not
about
at
it.
42 ball?
I didn't even know it was an option. See, I came out of St. John's in '92. There was no WNBA.
Okay.
There was no.
That's big time.
There was no
That's big
ABL. ABL was the first one that tried it,
Okay.
and then they turned into the WNBA. So my senior year, the same coach that got in my face and said I was the biggest waste of talent my freshman year. I thought she hated me. She constantly was on my back. And then I realized the reason why, because she knew I could always give more. And I thought I was always giving my all.
Right.
But so she came to me with this highlight tape, and she said she was going to start sending it to agents. And I'm like, agents for what? I honestly didn't have any idea that women were overseas playing ball and getting paid for it. And that was professional for us at the time. So when people ask me, why you never played professional ball? Oh, I played professional ball before,
Right.
there was even, it was just in a different country. We didn't have it here. So when she did that, of course, my mom was scared. I was afraid, leave the country, So she put my tape out there, and I chose that. Some agents got in touch with me, and I chose an agent, and I got a contract, and I never looked back. I did 12 years overseas, 12 straight years overseas. I don't think any female in Baltimore, out of Baltimore or in Maryland, has ever done 12 straight years. And you can look that up. But
I got it right.
yeah, I don't think any female ever did that.
Big difference from them $600 stipends.
Oh,
right?
yeah. So, and those were 10-month seasons, so it was like a school year.
Yeah.
So when the league started, I was already 6 years into overseas, and there was only about 6, maybe 8 teams that they were getting started. It was only over for the summer, 3 months. I think the salary was maybe like $20,000, $25,000 for 3 months. Is good, but I was making 3 times as much overseas already. So I decided to stay home. Well, I decided to stay overseas and play. I did go to a camp, the only camp that I went to a combine. I did great in the combine. I made some of the final cuts, but at the end of the day, everything is political.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was already 6 years, going on 7 years overseas.
You were vet at this point.
Yeah, they wanted the high school kids coming out to get the following.
Right.
There was another thing with the lifestyle. If you wasn't living that lifestyle that, was associated with women's basketball, if you wasn't in that, group, then it was just everything is politics. I'll just say
Right.
that. So, and again, I was making more money. I was comfortable, and it took a while for the league to get established. So, I stayed overseas, and I loved it. But did I ever think that that was a possibility? That it was even an option? That it was out there when I was in college? That's what makes it so crazy is I didn't know, and I was still like, I was working at, I was
Right.
doing it and not even knowing that, I think back sometimes, just imagine if I knew how much more I could have gotten.
Like, you did that just off pure passion. Though.
Yeah,
So
pure
that's
passion.
a-
But so I wonder if it would have, if I would have
Kinda
put
pushed you
more
a little
into
harder.
it. Yeah. I always wondered about that.
Can you take us through that first year overseas?
First year, it was, I was just enjoying just being in a
away.
different country.
Mhm, I
Like,
know.
everybody was like asking me, you don't miss home? And, no, not really. They're going to be there when I get home. Like,
Right.
I'm getting paid to play ball. Like, I'm having
dream.
fun. Right. I'm like, come home and do what? Work? Like I said, I never even thought what I want. It was like, what do I want to be when I grow up? I was only thinking basketball at the
Right.
time. I did get my degree in accounting and business because it was, thank you, it was a full ride, a
Right.
paid for education where most, and I'm not putting anyone down, where most of the basketball players were doing athletic administration majors, education majors, something real easy, real light, so that you can play ball and not be stressed out in school. I was like, I'm going to, it was only 6% black at the time. I'm going to
Maximize it.
I said I'm going to get the best degree that it would have been law, but it was too much reading. It would have been too much, but I was going to take full advantage of that scholarship opportunity that I had while I was playing ball.
Free.
Yeah. So, but my first year overseas, it was just like, wow. I felt like Jordan. I felt like Magic. They gave me a car. After every game, the kids were running up to you and getting your autograph. We were on TV every game. Like, we didn't have that when you had to get to the Metro Classic, and it was once a year you was on television, or I could only read about us in the Afro or the Sun paper. So we didn't have all of that media coverage. So overseas it was a whole different thing. Like,
He was a star over there.
Yeah,
And
he was
it made
literally
you feel like a star too, right?
Yeah, loving basketball. I tell people when they ask me what was it like, it was just like loving basketball. I'm not gonna lie to you.
When you said the
scene-
senior had the knee injury, that's immediately what I thought about.
So when you see that scene where she's overseas, and it wasn't for everybody. I think the most shocking part for me was, again, like there was like 3 times you only had one division for women. You had like first, second, third division for men.
Yeah.
So
bottom tier, top tier. Yeah,
did I miss home? Well, what? I had, so yeah. I was never. It was always. It was just like home because all the foreigners, we were considered foreigners. So all the Americans at the time, got together whenever we could and supported each other.
You retired what year?
In 2003.
All right, and in 2004 you got inducted into the St. John's Hall of Fame. Tell me what that was like.
It was bittersweet because Malik Saley wasn't there. He was supposed to, and we were very close. We 4 years together. Chris Mullin was supposed to come that year, but he was coaching Golden State, or was about to coach. It was a reason why he wasn't going to be there. So I was there with other sports figure, yeah. But as far as the basketball people that wanted to, I didn't understand how it went. I didn't know that they waited a couple years before you get inducted. I didn't even know it was a possibility when my name came up, when my time came up. I've always wondered about having a jersey retired. I'm like, well, my jersey wasn't retired.
You pushing for that. You pushing for that.
You know?
You pushing for that.
But
Should've made a question.
so wow, the Hall of Fame. I think it still didn't hit me. Again, I was like, I'm supposed to be there.
Right.
I don't mean for it to sound that way, but it didn't hit me until everybody else around me, my friends and my family and people who didn't even know me, started, only Hall of Famer I know. And, and would even, like, I would come home and my brother be like, yeah, this is my sister, she's in the Hall of Fame. Everybody else used to brag about me and boast about me and build me up when I just walked in the door. And I'm like, wow, so I am kind of, but I never, honestly, I could tell you, it was just the love of the game and the passion and seeing where it took me, that made me the player that I was. So, the Hall of Fame was just,
You could sit back and then just appreciate it, right?
yeah,
Your body of work.
and it's gonna be there.
Yeah.
For
Forever.
always.
Forever.
So yeah, that's a mark I left.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even say that was my highlight, the highlight of my career. It was great going out that way.
Mm-hmm.
At the time that it happened, it was great to see that I wasn't forgotten, that I was recognized and got the recognition that I deserved, that I worked for. But like the highlight of my career was other things like getting to meet Dr. J and Barkley and I don't know, stuff like
Just
that.
Hall of Famers.
My first year overseas, I scored 55 points, and they did this whole interview on me, and that was great. Those are like, the Hall of Fame is, it's stats. It's you in the record books. Is great, but like just the amount, just the things that I've seen along my career, and those are the moments that
You'll always remember.
yeah.
You talked about Malik Saley. He ended up passing away. Can you just tell him what he meant to you?
First of all, we had the same number, 21. We were the same number. We were both freshmen. I scored 42. He scored 41. We always just challenged each other to be better. Like we were like in competition.
Yeah.
On the men's side, he was, doing what he was doing, and I would always come back and say, "Oh, what'd you score today?" And he was like, "Oh, I put up 22 and 10."
Right.
So I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna give you 24 and 12,"
Yeah.
and I would do it. Like,
Right.
and so we were just always just like challenging each other. Yeah, he was the best.
Like, who were some of the people you played against that we know of? Because I'm sure you killed them too.
Oh, that of course, Rebecca Lobo, Penny Tola. Penny Tola is I don't know if she's still the general manager for the Wizards. What are they called now?
Mystics.
Dawn Staley. I've had the pleasure of playing with her. Becky Hammond. Venus Lacey. Swoop.
Cheryl Swoop. They all know
Witherspoon.
your name. They all know your name, right?
Yeah.
They all know your name, right?
Yeah, so a lot of the Rebecca Lobo, didn't I? She was from Connecticut. It's quite a few. It's quite a few.
I'm sure.
Obviously, the girls that I play with have retired now.
Right.
But they're either in the sports broadcasting now or coaching behind the scenes, or like I said, general managers.
Right. What about people that you played against? And this is the last question. People you played against that didn't go as far as you thought. Any names that ring a bell, like you could just remember about the people who you was like, oh, they might go, and they didn't happen to go.
Gosh, I wish I would have thought about this because there was this one girl, and I cannot think of her name, from Pittsburgh, and this girl was bad. She was probably the only, I won't say game that I respected, but, and I'm sorry for saying it that way, but you had, like, I look forward to playing against her because she was going to bring out everything in me. She made me play, and it was, I'm gonna call you back when I find out her name. But that's one player that I don't think Carrie Bascom. You wouldn't know her name. You wouldn't know it. Carrie Bascom. She was Carrie Bascom. I got up for her games. Yeah.
Yo, you got one of the best sports stories ever, especially with all your accomplishments. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
No question. And that's another episode of Built From Nothing. We see you soon.